Welcome back everyone. You're watching the training week from September 23rd, where the weekly focus was getting back into it after the light week and of course gearing up for those October 5th goals. Highlights for the week was some surprising back tumbling on floor off onto the resi, and high bar releases took a step forward and managed to actually check off a couple of those release goals from the training session on Saturday. If you're new here, hi, my name is Misha Kudinov. I have been keeping this video diary for the last 4 years or so. I am obsessed with gymnastics, and here you can take a look at literally every single thing I've done in the gym, minus those simple warm-up turns. So you can watch all the build-up for my competitions, domestic, international, world championships, Olympic games. All of it is right here, so there are virtually no secrets in my training. Everything is out in the open. So October 5th goals, the first thing I noticed in this week was like, okay, 2 weeks is really quick, and I set just as many, if not more, goals than I did in a previous 4-week cycle. Yet it's still a lot of fun to chase some of these goals, to chase all of these goals. This time around I set goals on all 6 apparatus, whereas the last cycle I think I only had 4 apparatus where I had some goals. That double back full twist which you saw right there was definitely not supposed to be a double back full twist. So we had another case of those twisties, which it's just an eternal struggle with, but came back for just a double back, managed to control myself and overcome those twisties. Felt like I had a bit of a drop in my stoop half quality this week. I think there was one day where I got like a pretty decent one, which matched some of the better ones from the other week. But all in all, I think maybe I was overworking them a little bit this week. So like especially Monday, I actually did a lot of bar and left myself pretty tired for Tuesday. Like I did stoops, I did gaylords, I did dismounts, I even did a couple of guineas, and over here, you know, that was a pretty nice and firm touch of the pad, and that one was a cleaner one. So moved on to Jaegers, and I believe I got a hand on the pad on the pike Jaeger for the first time. And like I predicted, these Jaegers, they are kinda messing with my gaylord taps, but in a good way. So rather than going too early on my gaylords as a result of the Jaeger training, I've actually been kind of overcompensating to make sure I'm not too close to the bar on gaylords and going late. So if anything, I've actually been going further from the bar, which is you know, probably the good mistake, especially that I don't get too many mat slides. So I want to be in the safe side. Now, do you remember these delchevs from last week? I kind of figured out how to square it up at the end. So you know, it'll be a little bit of time before I actually send that on the high bar. So yeah, 2 weeks is not much time to get those goals, and like last time, we'll take a look at the end of the week to see which ones I've ticked off, which ones are left remaining, and we'll just talk a little bit about those goals, I think, at the end of every training week video. So we must be sitting on Tuesday over here. If memory serves me right, I did a pretty decent P-bar first half. We can call it a half now since it's 4 skills and 8 skills make up a routine. I think it's this one. Slight bent elbows on the Honma, probably take a 1 for that. Tuesday's peach ones, the elbows were pretty much locked when I was catching the bar. Usually I'm kind of catching a little bit bent arms and doing a kind of a handstand push up into the handstand. But the peach 1 bars on Tuesday were pretty good. Finishing off with the peach. So ideally the 4th skill is going to be a Gatsin. That's still going to take some time, and this week I noticed that the Gatsins are stinging. They are stinging that left shoulder. So I didn't do too many hops to one arm on the Tuesday, and it's quite hard for me to catch the bar and push tall. Inevitably I keep on collapsing when I commit to the catches with one arm, and that collapse prevents me from getting a nice wrap into the twist. You know, you can't really, if you imagine you're in a one arm handstand and you have a shoulder angle, there's no way you can generate any amount of spin whatsoever. You have to be exactly straight like a ruler from your shoulder all the way through to your chest to get any spin at all. So I'm gonna I have to do some more like one arm strength, things like that, to prepare myself better for the skill. That stoop half was probably the best one of the week, just a slight little leg separation, but the goal is handstand. It's I have, so today is Friday. I literally have today and tomorrow to get the stoop half to handstand if I'm going to tick off the goal. But you might be surprised with a couple of the goals that I managed to tick off in the following training week. Keep in mind that I'm going to have about 3 weeks of no training after this little mini 2-week cycle, because we have nationals, and I'm going to be coaching at nationals. I'm pretty sure there won't be time for me to do any training there. And then I'm off to Singapore to visit some relatives there for another couple of weeks. I do have a contact in Singapore, so if I'm lucky, I might actually get to go in and have a little play in the Singapore National Training Center. So one of the weekly highlights there, that double back layout, it came pretty easy. I don't remember the last time I did those on the resi, but I have done those before a few years back. I have done a double at full twist, but the one you saw there onto the resi was probably better the one that I literally have only done one double at full, like a few years ago. I think it was just after we were coming back from COVID, and I like the one I did this day quite a bit better. It was nice and straight throughout the whole thing. I think a lot of it got a little bit cocky because I kind of opened up into it. I didn't really pike down at all, but luckily still managed to land with my chest up. Fam, did you see the double? Did you see the double? If you didn't, don't worry, you'll see it. I might post it on an Instagram story or something, but you'll definitely get to see it in the next week's training video. Didn't quite get the Magyar today. Remember, Magyar and 5 flares in a row are the 2 goals on pommel. But yeah, we'll talk about the miracle of the double layout double twist next week. Shout out and thank you to Ben Howells, I believe it was. The writing's quite small there, it's hard for me to read it, but Ben suggested, rather than scheming a lock arm Azerian to support, do like a goal where because you can measure most bungees these days, they have the weight written on them. So like that orange bungee, I believe, is a 12.4 kg bungee, and of course it only gives you 12.4 kgs at its maximum range, so we're definitely working with less than 12.4 kgs there. And Ben suggested to pick like a bungee to get the Azerian to cross with, because in Ben's experience, and by the sounds of it, Ben was a rings man. Ben, are you a current gymnast or are you a retired gymnast? Let me know in the comments, because I'm quite curious to see who my watchers are. But Ben suggested just to do Azerian to cross with a lighter bungee. So I started working a little bit more on those Azerians just with the bungee with lock arms, rather than doing it with Ben arms to however I was doing it before. Yeah, there's no way I'm gonna get this Azerian, but it's a D strength part, and there's not really any other D strength parts I think that are gonna be available to me. I'm still barely doing like a tuck planche on the parallettes, so planches and Maltesers, they're out of the question. So Azerian is really the only one, the only D strength part, because of course next code you're gonna need a D in all the element groups except element group 1, which on rings I think is must just be the swing element group. So where are we sitting here? Looks like it's probably the Thursday or Friday. Yeah, stoop halves are popping out, but just still skew legs apart in the splits. So this was a funny floor sesh. So for the first time ever, I went from double layout to a tuck double double. And my thought here was, well, double out, you need to whip it back like a lot. But surely I shouldn't whip back a double tuck double twist. But I was wrong, and as you can tell, I did a double twisting double flick flack of sorts, where my hands touched the ground, maybe even before my feet touched the ground. So like literally a double twisting double flick flack. Bet you've never seen that before. The other two goals besides the double out double twist to the resi were the ideal forward double twist punch front and the ideal back 2.5 punch front on the floor. An ideal meaning that the front tuck is short and high, to the point where I get the sense that I would have been able to do a double front out of it. So that's the other two floor goals. Still haven't given those a try, but you know, a couple days left. We'll see what we can manage. One thing I noticed with these goals, there's a problem, and the problem is that I kind of just do it once and they become like a one-off. So I'm gonna need to think of a way where I'm kind of continuing to build on the goals. In some sense I am, but I noticed in other parts it's like I make the goal once. From last cycle, for instance, I'll make the goal once and then I'll kind of just leave it alone and work towards some of the other goals that I haven't reached yet. So you know, you gotta kind of keep things consistent and not just a one-off. Pike Gaylord's kicking out a bit better. I am working in some new grips, so I'm a little bit cautious. I'm not really being full throttle with my taps. Those people that know with the thick grips, it's quite difficult. I think most gymnasts can imagine your first few sessions with new grips are quite uncomfortable. But started Pagan, that was an exciting one, really exciting. Stung a little bit like I predicted, but not as much as these. So check it out, fam. The first Kovacs flip. Drum roll, please. My goodness. No yank at all. No yank at all. Straight up and down. No amplitude. Luckily I opened up early. I kind of sensed I just went straight up. So instead of crunching my nose into the mat, I just had a little nick of my back. Learned my lesson and did the second one much later. So again, like we predicted, that yank down in overgrip, it's going to take some time to return. Nice and square stoop half there, but still quite low. So I thought with these double backs, rather than going on that 30 that you see on the other side of the bar, just to put a couple of 10 centimeter mats for this open double back. Most of these I actually grabbed my legs a little bit at the end, so it doesn't count. The entire double back has to be completely without touching my legs. I think that one was it. But chest, the goal is chest above horizontal. Chest is definitely not above horizontal. So I might even take one of those 10 centimeters out to make things a little bit easier, because in competition, of course, there's no 10 centimeter mats. So the lower the landing surface, the more time you have to flip it around, and the easier it's going to be to get that chest up a little bit. And the reason the goal is above horizontal is because if I ever get to twist a double back full over hard, you know, obviously I'm going to have to be over rotating the open double back before that. So that bungee there, the gray one, I think it's like 6 or 7 kilos, but of course we're working with a lot less than that because it's not really at full capacity. But for world clips of the week this week, let's take a look at Carlos Hilo. One really difficult thing, and if you have any pointers, let me know down below. False grip with handguards. It just boggles my mind. I do not understand how to keep a false grip on an Azarian with handguards, especially lifting directly from a front lever. But you know, Carlos's grips apparently don't even budge a millimeter. It's probably just a training thing. You probably just have to just continue doing it over and over with the bungee and figure out how to get that grip strength. But man, it is so difficult with handguards. So goals this week, just on Saturday we checked off the Magyar and actually checked off a couple of biggies. Start Pagan, did a couple of Pagans, did a couple of Kovacses, so pretty exciting goals there. But as you can see, with 1 week left remaining, there is still a lot left to go. Like a couple of those aren't too difficult, like the handspring front on vault. I just have to go and do it, just being a bit lazy and not doing any vault these days. What else is easy? Like giant on P-bar, that's just going to be a man up and do one sort of thing. Probably I'll save that one to my last training day on Saturday, and then let myself recover for another few weeks while I'm away at nationals and Singapore. So we'll see how many we can get checked off by the end of this week. Thanks for sticking with us. All the best. Till next time.